Welcome to another episode of Hair Biz Radio with your host Zakiyrah and
Mikey.
And we are back. Is this the first episode of the year?
We recorded 2025. No, we recorded two, me and you.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Week?
Okay, yeah. Well, it's still kind of New Year. So happy New Year if your New Year didn't start yet.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we are back. Mikey has been, where are you coming back from?
Vietnam, Cambodia.
Yes.
Delaware, DC.
Working on some projects out there.
I'm trying to do live like around the world.
Yes.
Did I tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, so I'm trying to have like people we work with and do business with to set up teams around the world to do TikTok live. And then TikTok was like, oh, maybe we're going to be disappearing. And I'm like, well, great timing.
That dropped my heart so bad because I was like, TikTok, I get recipes on TikTok. I learned how to clean my house on TikTok. Everything is on TikTok. And I did a little video and I was like, me cooking dinner without TikTok. And it was like some ice and spinach. Because I was like, how am I supposed to cook without TikTok?
Oh my God.
And then, of course, it came back the next day. So everybody was all excited and stuff. But
the same day, actually.
12 hours later.
Yeah, 12 hours later. They just needed to kind of, ramble us up a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. Anything exciting coming up? Anything
I'm
new?
sick of the cold.
Me too, yeah.
We got to record a lot today and then next week.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably not coming back to Atlanta till it's warm outside.
I know, that's right. Well, I'm leaving here and going to the coast, Chicago, and then actually California. We'll be in California for All-Star Weekend. Hubs is doing some stuff out there, and then we come back and hit the ground running back to work. But that's neither here nor there. Today we have a very special guest on the podcast with us. His name is Terrance Terry, and he is a nail stylist. Not just any nail stylist. Y'all need to go check him out on all social platforms. We'll get into that later, but he's a beast at what he does, and we're going to get into a little bit of his backstory and all the things beauty.
But he's also all the time on In Style Atlanta, which is on Fox Soul. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So, we can talk a little bit about that and how that kind of plays in line with his business as kind of like, he can parlay those kind of scenes.
Absolutely.
And stay in front of people. You're going to get good content doing that. It's really, really awesome idea. So it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's start from ground zero, the floor. Where are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. Detroit. Okay. I almost wore my Detroit sweatshirt over here. I'm not from Detroit though, but it was cute. So I bought it.
I am definitely a Detroit native. Of course, I've been in Atlanta a long time now.
Okay.
But my hometown, homegrown Detroit, Michigan. Now I'm an AT alien.
I love it. So how did you even get into the beauty industry? Like what made you decide to get into nails?
Organically, it actually fell in my lap. I didn't set out to become like a nail tech, nail stylist, whatever. I actually come from a line of women who were glamazons. They basically hair, nails, fly women. And, Detroit also was known for the beauty capital at one point. So a lot of influence and a lot of things came out of Detroit, Michigan. So I was always around it. My mom, my grandma, my sister, watching them do their nails at home and take care of, stuff like that themselves at home. And I just used to be fascinated. And I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
And he does it.
Yeah.
Oh, he does it.
So how long have you been doing nails?
I have been doing nails now full time. I want to say almost 25 years.
Wow. So you're a vet in the game.
So you started when you were like 5?
No, I didn't
Start.
start. I didn't start when I was 5. I've been
Started
around
when he was younger. How about that?
I've been around the block.
Well, you look good.
Well, thank you.
You look good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So did you start nails in Detroit?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I used to work as a couple of the top nail salons and back home in Detroit, Extravagant Nails.
Okay.
And Above All Nails with my homegirl Allison and Fatima and Jada. A good friend of mine at the time. She taught me how to do nails. And basically taught me everything I knew and grew into my own. Like they say, the student becomes better than the teacher. So,
They do say that. They do say that.
That's basically what happened. And I kind of took it and ran with it. I wasn't doing nails full time.
Okay.
I wasn't doing nails full time. I was doing other things. My original background, I come from interior design and staging.
Okay.
Yeah. Hence why I love this space so much.
And Mikey put this space together.
I know.
And
He
his
gave me a
girlfriend.
tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mikey gave me a tour. So that's why I appreciate the space. And I'm a true creative. I'm definitely a true creative. So that was my original love. I used to work at a large furniture retailer store back home that recently closed down, actually, just recently, like within the past few months. And started off working in their visual merchandising department. So basically when you would walk into the furniture store in the showroom and you saw how everything was laid out and like, oh, I like that. I want that in my house. That was my job. So I was the person who put it together, and then I kind of built up a clientele on the side with my clientele. And they're like, well, can you come design my house? Can you come design my bedroom? Can you come do this? Come do that?
Absolutely.
And that was my true love. That was my first love. So with that, I guess I kind of took it, and again, I'm a creative, so I'm pretty much good at anything where I get to express my creativity, and nails happen to be my new love, and which brings me to where we are today.
Terrance said, give me a canvas and I'm going to show you. I'm going to do something with the canvas. Okay. Yeah. I love it. So at any point during your journey, were you on your own? Did you kind of branch out on your own? Like in your own suite, or maybe you started your own?
Did.
Okay.
I did. So when I moved to Atlanta, in 2004. I've been here my full 20 years, and I'm actually going to celebrate what I would like to call my Atlanta-versary.
Yeah. So you kind of slick like an Atlanta peach, kind of.
Yeah.
You kind of half and half.
So I want to celebrate that. My career has been really good here. I started off working with a really good friend of mine named Poochie's Nails. She's in Atlanta. Shout out Poochie's Nails, y'all. That's my homegirl. And working with her and worked with her for a while. And I ended up branching off, like you had mentioned. Went to another salon. I figured that in order for me to grow my career, grow my brand, I needed to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, Atlanta is this, Atlanta's that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, let me see what Atlanta is giving. You know what I'm saying? So I branched off and started working at the Purple Door Salon and Spa, which is in
on Edgewood.
Exactly.
With,
Dwight Eubanks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody knows Dwight. How can you have a fashion show without fashion? How dreadful. From Housewives, you know?
Absolutely.
So he was really good friends with some cast members from Housewives, and he put me on, basically. I started doing a lot of the nails of the Housewives, and one thing led to another, and my career just blossomed from there. I became the nail guy, like he does everybody's nails. And, so that was one of my, I guess, how I got my start,
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about, because a lot of our audiences, they're either entrepreneurs or they work jobs and they're entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
They're just getting into the beauty industry, or they've already been in the beauty industry. And where we are now in 2025, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Let me just do my business license, put my Instagram out there, and I'm just going to start getting clientele and everything. I can jump hoops and do all this stuff, and I don't necessarily have to start from ground zero. Instant gratification.
And then a lot of them don't have a business license and all that.
That was the first thing.
That is true too. So let's talk about how important it was for you to
got their paperwork.
Yeah, that is very true. People don't have their paperwork, and you just said something here, especially in Atlanta. People ain't got their paperwork all over. But
one thing I've learned, I'm sorry not to cut you off. One thing that I've learned, that having your paperwork doesn't make you good.
Absolutely
it makes you professional. And I feel that you can't have talent.
Run that back. Run it back, because
having your paperwork or your licensing does not make you good. It makes you a professional, and it legitimizes your business and your craft and whatever that may be. Because you can have talent, but you might not have your paperwork, and vice versa. You might have your paperwork, but might not have talent.
Correct.
So it's a union.
You got to do them all. You got to do them all together. Yep. Right from the beginning.
One way or another, something's just going to go wrong.
Absolutely. And when you don't when you don't have your stuff in order, you can make some costly mistakes. And just ask me how I know. You can make some costly mistakes.
Here and there with accounting and other stuff.
Absolutely. So it is so important at the beginning. Have your stuff in order from the beginning. Don't try to cut corners. None of that stuff. Because if you do, you might end up owing a lot of money somewhere. So going back to the beginning, how important was it for you to not just kind of try to branch off on your own and do your own thing, but actually forge relationships with people like the White Eubanks or, the people who you worked with in Detroit or Apuchi? What made you want to say, hey, I'm going to work with other people and not really care about building my own personal brand and business before?
That's a very good question. I think what it was my biggest thing at first was for me to network, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
I wanted to network, and you're only as good as your network. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that it takes a village.
Absolutely.
And there's so many different professions and professionals and creatives that do so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
Why not be a part of that? And I felt, my personal experience, I felt that was the route that I wanted to take. I wanted to network with photographers, editors, art directors, hairstylists, makeup artists, different people like that in the industry, because when it comes down to it, you never really hear about the nail person, the nail tech, the manicurist. You never really hear about that. So I wanted to be that person to kind of, break the glass ceiling when it comes to that. You know? So in order to do that, you have to get with those who are already doing it. So that was what was important to me. And I felt that once I did that, once I created my network and once I got to know other people and put myself out there, then the rest will fall into place, But you'll begin to build a name for yourself because you've created a network and people know you. And a lot of times it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I'm big on relationships and connections, about maintaining those. You don't burn your bridges. You're always professional. Don't arrive on time, arrive early,
Beauty, the beauty.
The
beauty industry needs to hear that. Not on right. So I'm gonna have my editor clip this and literally run it. That's a 4-second clip. I'm gonna have them Instagram reel 3 minutes. I'm literally gonna have this reel 4 seconds. 50 times in a row, just so you hear that one more time.
Oh my God!
Show up on time. You show up early.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. They needed to hear it.
Absolutely. I was always taught that to arrive on time is to be late. To arrive early is to be on time.
Yeah.
So that was hence today. I was early. And I actually sat in my car a good 10 minutes before I even came in.
I was watching him.
She was stalking him out the window.
Sitting out there, at the thing, checking everything.
Yeah.
I saw him in there like, woo. Woo. So hyping himself up. He was ready. He came in hot.
Yeah.
Ready.
I don't know. I think I'm because I pride myself so much on being a professional and being that person, because I want to be the representation for my peers and my other professionals that are also in the industry. So, yeah.
And I think that's important as well, too, because as women, we like to go get our hair done. We like to go get our nails done. And so when we're doing that, we want to feel at home. We want to feel cozy. We want to feel like that's my dog. Like we're forming a relationship, but I also know that this person isn't going to just leave me out here in the cold, or you're going to respect my time as I respect your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, in that when it comes to nail care, especially nowadays, because again, I'm old school. I come from the old school. So I've been able to watch my industry transition from what it was back then to what it is today.
Yeah.
You have a lot of the nail salons that are on every other street corner, where it's they may not necessarily have you waiting too long, but they're going to give you crappy service, So I've learned to combine those things. Not only am I going to give you a good service, but I want to give you a swift service. I still want to make sure that I'm giving you a good service, but I'm not about to have you in a nail shop 4 hours.
That's really good. Yeah.
And, because at the end of the day, it's still a business. It's still a business, and you can't conduct a good business like that.
Correct.
I'm a numbers man.
I was about to say,
I'm a numbers
when you
man.
Get down to the revenue part of it, you got to be able to flip and turn. Flip and turn. Yeah.
Turn and burn. And, sitting here with a man like this guy right here, I've learned a lot just from watching you and the brand that you've built and the things that you've done. Business is business across the board.
Correct.
Whatever it is that you're selling, once you learn the fundamentals of business, you can apply that to anything.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I am a businessman. I'm talented in a lot of different areas, but business, you good.
Absolutely. And I want to get into this. I know it's probably a taboo topic, but I think it's important because when people think about the nail industry, a lot of people associate it with a different community because where it started off at. So to have African Americans start to break into the industry of that, give us kind of your perspective or thoughts on, was it hard for you to actually break into the industry because you're an African American, or how was that for you?
Great question. Absolutely. It was difficult.
Okay.
Well, I'll say when I moved to Atlanta, it became kind of difficult. Being from Detroit, Michigan, hair, beauty industry, nails.
Especially back then, because I can tell you, like, I spent a lot of time in Detroit. We had a store there for 4 years,
right?
8 Mile and DeQuinder. And
East Side.
Yeah, so in Atlanta, the community is very different here relative to Detroit. So Detroit is very much like a black and white community, where Atlanta is like the demographic is, you have it's a much more mixed demographic, but you do have a much larger, especially heading up to Gwinnett, Asian population.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's the Vietnamese community, that Vietnamese people all about nails, as you know, obviously. And so like, I believe there's a lot of Vietnamese nail shops, a lot of Vietnamese people that, immigrated over family. I know people that own nail shops in Atlanta because I have a pretty large network of Asian friends, and some of the parents, nail shop owners. So like, I remember when I first was meeting you, we met at an Atlantic Station, and I remember Carmen, who's sitting over here. She's like, "Oh, Terrance, a friend." I think Terrance to me, and I'm thinking, Terrance Terry. I was like, that doesn't sound like a Vietnamese name. I'm like, let's see what shows up. Because I've only met I've only met Vietnamese people that do nails. So I see this guy walking out, like, is this guy on TV, or what is this guy doing? Nails? Like, what the hell's going on? But then obviously when you look at the Instagram and everything, like, dang, that guy does nails.
Right.
Like, it's not just this, like, whatever. I don't get my nails done, but whatever thing. And I was like, ooh, he's got like very unique.
Yeah. And I think it's beautiful to see African Americans like breaking down the molds and barriers when it comes to that community. Again,
the industry has changed drastically since I stepped my foot in it, and it's refreshing. It's a good thing to see. But to your point, I do feel that, again, this goes back to me when I said about networking. I networked with a lot of the Vietnamese people because we know what it is. Vietnamese have a cornerstone in the nail industry, right? So you want to play the game, you got to play with them, and that's okay. So after I left the Purple Door, this goes back to basically my timeline that I was talking about earlier. After I left the Purple Door salon, I decided to actually go to a Vietnamese owned salon. Okay. And I went to one of the biggest nail salons in Atlanta, in Buckhead. Back in the day, it was called E-Nails, known as Eminence Nails. It's right there on Buckhead Loop, where the old Toys R Us is, and that big salon that sits right upstairs. Yeah. Never seen anything like it a day in my life. When I walked in that salon, I was floored. It is a salon that had 52 stations and 47 spa chairs. Wow. Huge. That is huge. With a staff of 39 nail techs. 39 nail techs. Of course, Vietnamese, but there was 2 other Black girls working there. And it was so refreshing for me to see that. And I was like, okay. We in here. We in here. Sprinkled in here. We're sprinkled in here, but I can appreciate the inclusion. Correct. I was so happy to see the inclusion. And I'm like, at the end of the day, whoever owns this knows what they're doing. So I got, how I found out about the salon was actually one of my clients, because I don't do pedicures. I stopped doing pedicures years ago because I was like, you know what? I'm not about to keep lifting these women's feet up and these hands up. I'm not about to keep doing that. So I stopped doing feet. I don't do feet. Don't show me no toes. Don't show me none of that. No. So she was going to E-Nails and Spa to get her pedicures. Okay. So that's how I found out about it. She's like, you should go check out this spot. Da, 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 da. So she told me about it. So I secret shopped first before I, said who I was. I went in, I got a manicure myself. came back, got another service. The third time I came back, one of the young ladies who I mentioned, the black girls who was working there, was like, I know who you are. I was like, God damn it. God damn it.
Trying to be incognito.
Yeah, trying to be incognito, but still scoping out the same because, again, I like to do my research. I'm bougie. I'm funny about where I want to work at,
right?
You know, because it's an extension of you, you know, so I want to make sure it's a good fit before I even approach the owners for employment. And that's what I did. So that third time, the black girl was like, I know who you are. And I was like, oh, okay. How you doing? And I introduced myself, and, you know, and we're really cool to this day, actually. But anyway, she was like, well, yeah, you should ask, you know, that we, you know, it's money to be made.
Yeah.
You know, this is a good spot. It's popping. All the who's who come through there, you know. It was basically it was like a nightclub. That was one of the most popular nail salons back in the day. And it still is. It's under different ownership now. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's under different ownership now. Really popular nail salon. So started working there, worked there for 3, maybe 4 years. And baby, by that time, my clientele was through the roof. Was through the roof. So... And then that led me to working on different things, working on set, working on movie sets, because a lot of producers and directors and things and ADs would come through and get nail services. And they're like, hey, we need somebody to do so-and-so. Can you come to set and do so-and-so? So that's kind of what spearheaded my career in what I like to call industry work. So...
I love that. One thing I hear you say without saying it is that you weren't scared of competition. You did what you needed to do. You went to where you knew you could build clientele. Absolutely. You could build your business. You weren't like, nah, I want to go do my own thing. You put your foot down and was like, I'm in there. And then from there, you started building and growing. And now all these people know you. And now you're in the industry and you're working how you want to work. And now... you could be a standalone artist if you wanted to. And I am. You travel and you can do all the things that you want to do, because in the beginning, you weren't prideful. You didn't have a big ego. It wasn't like, absolutely. I can't do this.
I'm very low key. I'm very low key. I'm very humble. I uplift everybody because I want people to uplift me. I'm a small business, you know, and I support small businesses, and I would want somebody to pour into me.
Correct.
You know? Yeah. So competition is healthy.
Correct.
Pepsi isn't worried about Coca-Cola.
Correct.
You know, so there's enough room in the arena for everyone, especially if you have a certain type of niche or something that you offer that the next person may not offer. And then I'm big on learning from the next person. You know, you're never too big or never too good to continue to learn. And once you feel like that, it's over for you.
You've hit your ceiling at that point.
I can say too, like, just seeing your Instagram, and you know, a lot of people know you. Like I mentioned Zakiyrah, I think I mentioned some other people. So someone else was like, I had a couple people like, oh, I think my friend has got their nails done with you before and stuff. Yeah. And I can tell you, just sitting here and just knowing you for a while now, it's been, I think we've known about each other for like 5 years. I can 100% say you are a huge inspiration to the Black African American community.
Absolutely.
That does not think they can get in the nail business, because it is, you know, the Vietnamese community really have this thing on lock.
Yeah.
But there are always openings and opportunities, and I am sure you have inspired many people to get into the industry. I would love, if they are watching this, just to reach out to this man, send him a DM on Instagram. He's probably busy in there.
Yeah.
But I got to get in and just be like, man, I actually got into the industry, because I am sure there's so many people got into the industry because of you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that. I love that. Thank you. Again, I've worked really, 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 really hard. And again, I'm really low key. I'm really humble. I don't make too much noise. I stay to myself, but I can turn up if you need me.
If you need me to, I can meet you where you at.
I have a lot of emotion. I don't talk about it, you know? But I'm working on a couple things right now. I'm working on a movie with, can I talk about it?
Ooh.
No, I don't. I guess I could. I'm working with Keke Palmer and Celine Dion for a new movie called Boosters, or I Love Boosters.
Okay.
And it's set to come out, I think sometime later next year.
Okay.
So working with those two amazing actresses, and just wrapped up with another movie with Keke Palmer, actually, called I forgot what it was called.
Is it the one that's out now with SZA?
Yeah,
okay. I forget the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yep. So again, being able to work in those spaces, as a independent creative, as a freelancer, as a whatever, it's not easy,
Right.
You have to prove yourself. You have to, be present. You have to be professional. You have to be swift, because a lot of times, it's so rushed. Everything is so rushed,
Right.
And I've been able to, work with a lot of different people in my career, a lot of different projects. So I think that more so is where I'm at in my career now. I had a salon for 10 years. I opened my salon in 2014 and I closed it last year, 2024.
Nice. Let's talk about that a little bit because Mikey has done some brick and mortar, open stores, closed stores. And I think a lot of people who are looking to get into getting a storefront or a salon, they don't really know the hard work behind the things that come into it. So let's talk a little bit about it.
It's from the lease.
It ain't easy.
Okay, first the lease. You're going to do something in that space, dealing with the city.
Yeah.
And it's like,
permits,
I'm going to do
everything.
this little thing. They're like, no problem. You need professional drawings. I'm like, okay, professional drawings, thousands of dollars. Then they're going to let it sit on their desk for 6 months.
Absolutely.
Before they approve it or even go through it.
Yeah.
And while you're just paying rent and utilities and you're trying to hire staff and everything else, then you finally get, if you got to grease some wheels or something else, I don't know, getting through some of this stuff. Then you get the thing going. Then you got to staff it. You got all the different bills, insurance these days. When I tell you the cost of insurance has skyrocketed.
Oh, absolutely.
Georgia has some of the highest rates for insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it is.
It can be a headache, especially if you're building from the ground up, like building your spot.
Build out.
Yeah, because I'm in real estate, so we're actually building a property over in Alpharetta, and it's been hell trying to get through permits, even the permitting, and then starting all of those things. So people don't really know what goes into it from the very, very bottom to get this beautiful big salon that you have people starting to come to, that you still have to pay money to to hold the rent, the mortgage, whatever it is that you have. And then if you don't have people who are actually working in the salon, you got to cover that out of your pocket because stuff isn't coming in. So it's a lot that goes into it that people just don't understand before actually jumping into it. So what were some lessons that you learned having your salon for that long?
I actually was very fortunate because again, I had networked with a lot of different people, so I had people in my ear to kind of tell me what to do versus not, I still, of course, stumbled a little bit, but I think I came out the gate running. My very, very first salon was a boutique salon. I kind of had I took an office space, kind of like where you guys are. It was like it used to be a what they call an office park. Yeah, it used to be an office park, and they converted them into commercial space. Commercial space. So it was pretty big, actually. Carmen, you remember the very, very first spot in Buckhead on West Wayuka? So I think I came out doing pretty good.
Nice.
I had knew all about the zoning and permitting and licensing. I had all that. And then my landlord was very good with pointing me in the right direction with stuff too.
Awesome.
One thing that's how I learned what tenant allocation was. Basically, you have to have a certain amount of time to do your build out before the landlord is charging you,
which is negotiable.
Which is negotiable. One thing in business,
everything's negotiable.
Everything is negotiable.
One thing I love to say is, don't tell me you can't do that. Let's figure out how we can do it.
Yeah. So I did really good, and one of the biggest things that I did learn was, always make sure you can afford your own overhead. Never rely on your staff or your product or your service or whatever it is that you're doing. Always make sure that you can afford it, on your own.
Absolutely.
Because if your staff at the end of the day tell you to
kick rock,
kiss my ass, walk out, you're stuck with that rent. And now you're relying on something that was tangible, that was coming in that you thought that no.
Absolutely.
So I always made sure that I could afford my own overhead out of my own pocket. So, that was my very first salon. It was, like I said, I was there. And then I moved out of that place because they actually tore it down.
Oh, wow.
It was in Buckhead. They tore it down and, built like some $1 million houses over there. So typical.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, I moved to a new space where I was there for, I think I was in that space for maybe 8 years. Yeah, maybe 8 years total. And I was there in a traditional, plaza, strip mall type situation. And excuse me, did the build out. Like Mikey said, did the build out. I don't think I had any
no hiccups or bad.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was fortunate.
That. Yeah,
I was very fortunate. I had a very good batch of girls. One thing that I was adamant about is when I like the little saying used to go back in the day: if you build it, they will come.
Your dreams.
Yeah, so I was like, when I initially opened my salon, I didn't open it for anybody else. I opened it for me. Yeah. Because again, I had been hustling, I was in the streets. I was in the trenches hustling. I built it from the mud. So I was like, you know what? It's time for me now, because I've worked at every salon, every spa, every nail salon. Again, everybody knew who Terrance Terry was. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I need my own space.
Yeah.
So I did it for me. It wasn't for anybody else. So when I did it, the girls started coming to me. When I say the girls, other nail techs started coming to me, and it's like, oh, y'all love me. Y'all y'all mess with me.
You a pioneer in this situation.
Yeah. So, and that's what happened. So the young ladies that I ended up hiring over time were with me all the way to the end until I finally closed it.
Nice.
And
that says something about you and your business acumen and your mentorship and everything. That says a lot about you.
I'm just a genuine, I don't want to say like leader. I guess I am a leader.
You are a leader.
Yeah. I'm just like,
especially
I love,
in the industry.
I love to lead others and pour into others all across the board. I pour into people. I help build people up. I coach you. I train you, because I remember like every young lady that came to me was either fresh out of school or they were out of school, beauty school that is, and working in another industry. And I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do to make ends meet. I've always been an advocate of work the job to fund your dream. If you got to do that, do it. But there's some point in your path that you're gonna have to step away from that and actually pour into your dream and your business now. So, like I said, a couple of the young ladies were working jobs. They were waitresses and doing nails part-time. One girl was doing nails 2 days out the week. I'm like, sweetie, you're going to have to let that go.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be full-time. I'll help you be full-time. I'll help you build your client base. Just follow my formula. Just follow the recipe. It's a recipe and a formula for a reason. That's why you follow it. I'm
it's
not
giving you need to be doing some courses, some coaching.
I just need you to be here and show up. I just need you to be here and show up, and I got you. So when you pour into people like that, they will always be on your side. And my girls, like I said, to this day, once I closed my salon last year in 2024, they were like, we still, and we are still close to this day.
I love that.
I had just gotten to the point where, again, I wanted to do something different. It's I'm the type of person that I'm a Pisces. So I kind of get bored with stuff.
Yes.
And that can be bad and good, but I kind of get bored with things fast. So once I had got to the point where I was like, okay, I've hit the 10-year mark of being a salon owner, a brick and mortar salon, not a salon suite.
Right.
Nothing's wrong with that, but not a salon suite, an actual brick and mortar business that I'm, operating out of. So I was like, I'm kind of over it now.
You're ready for something
different. I want to do something different. So I wanted to step back and take away some of that responsibility that I had been dealing with and kind of be that free spirit that Pisces are known to be, but still very much grounded. So I went and got me a salon suite.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's not a typical salon suite. It's again in another commercial space that's nondescript. So I kind of turned it into a nail salon.
Gotcha.
It's very similar to this, actually, like how you have this. So yeah, and that's where I'm at now. And
I love it. Yeah. So what's the inspiration behind your techniques and creativity that you do for your nail inspiration? Like what's your inspiration? Where do you pull from?
Well, honestly, I pull from my clients, actually. A lot of time, and I have a lot of really dope clientele, by the way. I have to say this. I've curated my clientele over the years of my career to be where it is now. Like, there are some fly women that come in my space, that come get their nails done, so they'll come in with maybe a really dope sweater, a really dope purse, because the girls come in with the handbags. The girls are coming in.
Handbag.
Yeah, they come in. The girls show up for TT, baby. But, I draw inspiration from that, but not only just that, I draw inspiration from everywhere because, again, I'm a creative. And my core, like I said, is design and furniture and fashion. Right. So, and then of course, social media, you have to pull from social media as well, because there's so many talented nail techs and nail artists, nail stylists all around the world that when I'm scrolling on my phone, I'm like, damn, that's fire. Or then my client will come in and be like, oh, can you do this? Yeah. Oh, I want this, but maybe a different color. So inspiration comes from all different places. And being a creative, I can take inspiration from these curtains that are hanging up right here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so let's dive into really quickly how you got on television. So what kind of landed you into doing InStyle?
Well, Carmen, who's a really good friend of mine, she kind of put me into it. She started off as a client and we became friends, and I don't like a lot of people. I don't like a lot of people. I'm funny. So if y'all done probably heard stories. If I like you, I like you. If I don't, I don't. So Carmen was one of the clients turned friend who I got cool with and got close with. And so she kind of suckered me in onto it. So
suckered you in. So you was fighting it a little bit. You was fighting it a little.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to be on TV. I'm a behind the scenes person. Cause believe it or not, y'all, I'm shy as shit.
Really? So you're an introverted extrovert.
I think it's called an omnivert. Yes. It's a combination of both. So I'm really both. But everybody sees me and they're like, you're so stylish. You're so this, you're so that. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm actually really shy. And I think what it is that once I get comfortable, then I'll open up a little bit.
That's like me. Because I'm outgoing, but I gotta get a little vibe a little bit. I may kind of sit back and then people are like, what is that? And then I just start talking.
So yeah, that's how I got into it, Carmen. She sucked me into it. And I met some interesting people, to say the least. And yeah.
I can't say.
How's it being on the show with like the other cast members and other people?
Well, I'm not on the show as
you interact with them.
Yeah. Interacting with them is funny. It's very funny. It's very, 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 very funny. I've learned that people keep up a lot of shit.
It can get a little
people keep up people keep up a lot of stuff, and I try to pride myself from that because I'm too old for that. And baby, if I get into it with you, I'm going to hurt your feelings. And make you want to fight me and make you want to, do something to me because my mouth is lethal. I am a wordsmith. So
remind me to never get on Terrance back.
Oh yeah. Baby, you want to read I
will read you clear.
yeah. So I'm that person. But I think one of the biggest, a lot of people, as far as television goes, to your point, I was on a television show a few years back called Nailed It. I don't know if you know, but it was do you remember the television show Project Runway?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it was by the same producers.
Okay.
And they created the first nail competition. Well, it was the same premise as Project Runway, but instead of fashion designers, you had nail techs from all around the world. And I was one of the reoccurring judges on the show. I basically was like, you remember Tim Gunn from Project Runway? No. I kind of was like, I love Tim Gunn.
They got me working so much. I don't have to
right.
I'm on the computer like this.
I was one of the recurring judges on the television show. It appeared on the Oxygen Network. It was on Oxygen, and Adrienne Bailon was the host of the show. Remember her from The View?
Yep. And she was one of the original Cheetah Girls.
Absolutely. She was one of the Cheetah Girls. So I was on the show, and that was the first of its kind. And no other nail show has been done like it since. There's been other couple shows based around nails, but as far as like competition shows and getting gritty and watching, nail techs go at it with creativity and being judged on it, that was that. Okay. So that was an amazing opportunity. It was NBC Universal. So it was like a big deal. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of remember me from or know me from too. And, again, being a Black man in the beauty industry and the nail industry, I would say more specifically, says a lot to my character and my professionalism and my skill as well.
Right.
So that was a big learning experience. So I think that I've always will have a foot in the door with television just because of that and because of my personality. Like I've been on a few different shows here and there. So yeah, you might see me back on TV soon.
I was about to say, so if they came out with a all nail tech reality TV show.
If it made sense.
Okay.
If it makes sense.
Y'all heard that.
Hey, get at me.
Right.
Get at me. So if it makes sense and it aligns with my brand, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I love it. So what is something that you would tell an aspiring nail artist that is looking to come up in the industry that has not entered the industry yet, but they're looking to get their feet wet? What's a piece of advice you would share? You could take a second. Just
You know what? While he's taking a little drink of the Fiji,
Fiji, we need some endorsements.
Yeah.
We need some
absolutely.
Speaking of
I knew he was getting ready to go there.
my little segue. Zakiyrah knows that I am a huge fan of Built Basics, who does not sponsor this podcast. I love you guys to death. I'm wearing the Built Basics shirt. I travel like bad boys. Okay.
I like that.
I'm wearing the Built Basics pants. Look at these things. Travel. Built Basics. You think I'm lying about my shoes? Those are the Built Basics shoes.
Whole closet.
Anyway, I love this brand. I love giving them a shout out just because I love their product so much.
It looks comfy.
And it's just easy for me. It's just kind of like comfortable, travel well. But one thing, just listening to the story that I love, and it's a little different than today's kind of mindset. Today it's like you get out of beauty school and you are like running and gunning. You think you're setting up this huge empire and you think you know everything.
Right.
And what I love is you really spent the time, I don't want to say in the trenches, but in the other businesses and being around other business owners to actually learn from these other business owners.
Right.
And I think that's really important. It's a common narrative these days of you get out of beauty school, it's okay to go work at a salon. It's okay to work under somebody else and learn from those people that have been doing it. Right? You can not only learn what to do, you can learn what not to do, what will work for your business. But I feel like you've probably learned so much from other people. When it was time for you to make that big investment and go off on your own, you were really ready. And that's why it worked for a whole decade.
Yeah, that's true.
It did. And to your point, I learned so much from so many people, and that's why I'm such an advocate of pouring into people, because I had people pour into me.
Yeah.
And great people to listen to learn from, like you said, what to do versus what not to do, so take your time. Back to what Zakiyrah, what you were asking earlier, I think is that any nail tech or any beauty professional, and it's not just nails, but since I am a nail tech, I will say, take your time when you first get out of school. Go to school, first of all, because there's only so much that YouTube can teach you. There's only so much that TikTok can teach you. There's only so much that social media is going to teach you. You have to pour into yourself and learn the craft. Again, I'm old school, so I learned the fundamentals of nail care first and foremost.
That's important.
It wasn't,
we didn't even talk about that, but that is so important.
You have to know the fundamentals of nail care, because everybody sees social media and we have this attached to our ass all the time that we think that it's all about nail art. It's all about designs. It's all about, how pretty my, no, because not every woman wears nail art.
Right.
Not every client that sits in your chair is going to want 3D nails or shit stacked off their nails like this. You know what I'm saying? So not everybody wants that. You have to be able to do the fundamentals and the basics. You have to be able to perform a manicure. You have to know your nail disorders, your nail diseases, et cetera, et cetera. And you won't get that unless you are properly educated.
Right.
Take the time to go to a nail school. You know, I don't know what state you're in or what city you're in. The guidelines are different per city or state, but take that time. Take continuing education classes from skilled professionals, because you can't learn if you don't know, you know?
Right.
And there's so many people like myself who offer continuing education, who offer enrichment courses, who offer, and I am licensed in 3 different states.
Period.
So I know my shit and I can, you know, teach you. So I think that would be the biggest thing is educate.
That's
educate.
good. That's really
and
good.
Take the time to practice and don't just jump out there, because to your point, Mikey, you mentioned people just want to get a salon suite. One thing that I've learned too, when you're still new, don't jump right out there and go into space by yourself like a salon suite, because you need the camaraderie of a salon space. You want to network with others. You want to learn from others. You want to see how this person does this and see how that person does this to figure out where your style is, where your own individuality is, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. Absolutely. But you have to make sure it's the right way.
That's true.
You have to make sure it's the right way, you know? So I think that would be the biggest thing is take the time to pour into yourself and pour into your craft and learn from others and be around others. Don't be so quick to say, oh, I'm a boss. I want to go out here and do this. I got my own
That's a no.
suite.
You know they want to do that. No. That's the thing now. They want to be a boss.
Being a boss isn't being a boss. Being a leader is being a boss.
That's good. That's good. Run that back again. You got to run that one back. Run it back.
A leader is being a boss, because a boss will point at a job or point at a task and tell you go do it. When a leader will show you how to do it.
Absolutely.
That's the difference. And that's how I've always been. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I will leave with y'all out there in TB land. You know, take the time and do it the right way, because if not, you're going to be screwed up. You're going to have to redo it anyway.
Yeah, that's really good. Terrance has been dropping some gems today.
Exactly. Yes. And time is money. And also, don't play with people's time. I'm a firm advocate of that. Don't play with people's time. You know, communicate, have good policies in place and procedures in place. Because when I hear so many horror stories about professionalism out here, as far as a lot of the beauty professionals go and things, it's bad.
Listen, we have a whole podcast episode just on the do's and don'ts of beauty professionals in the industry.
I don't think a lot of people actually realize the additional pressure you have having a physical space. Even as a salon suite, it's so you go from your normal space and then you're downsizing into a salon suite, something a little more personal. That one major salon, the amount of pressure and just it's a lot. Like a lot of people don't realize, even having that other space. That's why like getting into somebody else's space to learn and train for a couple years is a good idea.
Absolutely.
So you don't have so much pressure on you at all times. And I know that from having up to 7 stores. And I'm just like, all I'm waiting for every day, I'm waiting for that call that something happened at this store. It's 2 a.m. and someone broke into a store. It's like there's a lot of pressure with that. And I feel like you in the beginning, you really need to work on mastering your craft and still, you know, start learning the business side before just hopping into the business side, because it's a lot. I think you'll slow down. You won't learn the things you need to do as fast if you are running the whole space yourself, where you need to focus on learning the craft more, learning how to do the nails or learning how to do the hair or whatever the beauty profession is. I think you really need to focus on that. And then you can accelerate more on the business side as you start building up your clientele.
Absolutely.
You're better at what you do. And there's going to be a lot more revenue streams with maybe teaching and other things.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just,
and that's
information.
To your point. I'm so glad you brought that up, Mikey, because there's so many different ways in our industry, the beauty industry, to make money. You got to come from behind that chair at one point. And I'm sure a lot of beauty professionals, hairstylists, barbers, makeup artists, lash techs, whatever, know this already. We can only be behind that chair and be on our feet for so long. You know, you have to generate other streams of income. That's where I'm at in my career now. I consult. I teach. I do a lot of speaking and public speaking. work, and I still work on set and still accept clients. I still accept clients.
Are you accepting new clients right
Absolutely.
now? Okay. Terrance is accepting new clients. Get on his book.
Accepting new clients. I'm very big on my referral system.
Okay.
Because again, I've curated my clientele to the way it is. So I am accepting new clients. So feel free to reach out. And then you have to create multiple streams of income. I've learned in different ways. If you still want to stay within that arena of what your skill is, do that. Even if you want to step out of that and do that as well. But I'm big on picking something and perfecting it first.
Yes.
Before you do
the power of one thing.
Yeah, because people be like, oh, I'm a jack of all trades. But what's the rest of the saying? Master of none. Mm-hmm. So you can still be a jack of all trades and still make money in a lot of different ways, but try to still have some type of core there, So I'm
You're going to like this because I mentioned on the podcast before is you have to create a river first because everyone talks about multiple streams.
This is my favorite.
You have to create a river. The river is your main core business.
Correct.
Once you have that river is really flowing, at that point, you can maybe then start taking off and creating the streams of income. But if you don't have that river flowing, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
None of your streams are going to be beneficial.
That makes sense.
It's all going to be dry.
And this is the man to listen to.
Listen, when I tell you, me and Mikey have worked together
over 10 years.
And I was one of his first employees.
Number 2.
I don't even remember what year it was. And
2014.
Then 2014.
I know it all.
And then
important to me.
I left Private Label in 2021. And then Mikey and I still decided to do the podcast together. And it has been literally the best thing working beside Mikey, working under Mikey, under everything. I've learned so much that I've been able to do in life. Like I learned life stuff from Mikey, business, everything. My businesses do well from a lot of the principles that I've learned from Mikey. So yeah, Mikey is.
Speaking of which, Mikey, you're the man. What's up with the connections with, doing some private label with some nail stuff?
I know nails easy.
I know you. Oh, now it's easy. Well, we need to talk.
We need to talk.
It's easy.
Yeah,
I was looking at nails before, some nail stuff before when I was, in China, looking at where they're doing some manufacturing, and I'm in Vietnam a lot more now. I don't know how much. A lot of manufacturing is actually moving to Vietnam because of potential tariffs and other kind of stuff, and just Vietnam in general.
Yeah,
manufacturing in China is very top tier as far as the production process, and especially with nails, the detail you have to be like a certain level of detail for stuff, but yeah, so always open for a conversation.
Okay.
I got the river. I just need some more stream.
Okay. Well, let's get it.
I love it.
But real quick, to the point what Zakiyrah said, Zakiyrah has been a sponge. So the only reason why she has learned in all of this is because I have made every mistake in the book, in business, in my personal life. And then it was around 2014 when I said, I am going to stop messing this up. I am now getting older. I cannot be messing around anymore. I made changes in my life. She saw those changes. She was side by side with me for a decade. We grew this into a big business, and we did a lot with a lot of people. It's been really exciting. So I almost called Zakiyrah the other day just to say, Zakiyrah, I appreciate knowing you, because I think about.
Why didn't you call me?
I forgot, but it was like one of those things. No, I kid you not. I was like, I almost called her because I was thinking about like all the stuff that we did together and figured out in the business and everything else. And it's like, if you don't surround yourself with great people,
absolutely,
this stuff will not happen, because you can't do everything yourself. You have to bring the right people, and you have to surround yourself with the right people. And that's why when I
your network,
like if I'm around people where I'm just like, this person is bringing me down, like literally cut people out of your life. Yeah. That's why I don't have as many friends as I used to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just
same.
And when you learn that, I know it sounds harsh, but when you learn that, life is so much better. And I like good life.
I know. Yeah. I literally just said that I'm not staying in spaces where I don't feel peace or I can't be my authentic self. I no longer
I'm too old for that. I'm too
way
old for
too
that.
old for that. And my nervous system can't take it anymore. I'm like, no, absolutely not. So yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Terrance. It has been amazing. Terrance been dropping gems, and his books are open. So y'all better get on there, reach out to Terrance, book him, get your nails done, and also tell the people where they can follow you on social, website, all that good stuff.
Yes, so all my socials are the same. Terrance Terry, TerranceTerry. That's Terrance Terry on Instagram, Facebook. I really don't use Twitter/X now. I really don't use it, but I have it. And then TerranceTerry.com as well. And you can book online, and it's also in my Instagram bio, again, which is at Terrance Terry. So yeah, if you need me to come out, come speak, come pour into your business, you have a beauty school, you want me to come out, you independent techs, or even salon techs that are working in a space and you want to brush up on some skills, brush up on something that you need help with, I'm your guy.
Oh, and he's taking on-time clients, by the way.
On-time clients. And I'm not cheap, y'all. Yep. I'm not cheap.
Period. Let them know. So Let them know.
You want the best. I mean, it's going to cost you. But it's okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
I love it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Zakiyrah.